Hello, everybody. This is Thein, and my presentation is about sustainable development in hospitality and tourism industry. So the question I chose was, is the concept of sustainable development applicable in the hospitality and tourism industry? So the answer is yes, 100%. But before I explain the reasons why, let's look at the concept of sustainable development and some other contents. So the contents are the key principle of sustainable development in hospitality and tourism industry, examples of sustainability in action, challenges, and finally, conclusion. Okay, so what is sustainable development? It's basically about meeting the needs of the present without having to compromise the ability for the future generation to meet their own needs, which means we have to use our resources carefully so that we leave enough for the future generation to work with. It's about balancing the economic growth, environmental protection, and social equity. So, when we talk about sustainable development, uh, the concept is very broad. So I'm going to narrow it down to three main key principles. So they are the environmental sustainability, economic sustainability, and finally, social sustainability. So what is environmental sustainability? So to maintain environmental sustainability, we need to be responsible with the use of natural resources. As we know, the resources we have are finite. They could run out at any time if we're not careful. So we have to be responsible with that uh, to make sure there is enough resource for our future generations and protect the ecosystem and biodiversity for the future generation. So how do we do that? There are a lot of ways to do that, countless ways, but the basic ways are by reducing carbon emission, preventing deforestation, and promoting renewable energy. So this is how we maintain environmental sustainability. So the next one is about economic sustainability. So what is economic sustainability? It's about long-term economic growth. It's not just some sudden boom and then stop, right? We have to maintain the trend so that the economic growth can remain in the long run. Okay, so how do we do that? We need to prevent depleting resources. How do we prevent depleting resources? We create green jobs. So if there are green jobs, if there are people to manage and supervise the way we use our resources, we would be more careful. And then fostering innovations and supporting sustainable industries. Okay, this is how we maintain sustainability in economics. Okay, the third one is social sustainability. So this topic is often overlooked. So how do we maintain social sustainability? We promote equity, we make sure everybody get equal access to resources, and we ensure the well-being of all people. So how do we do that? We have to address poverty, we provide education, and we practice fair labor practices. So those are the explanation of the three main principles of sustainable development. But why is it so important? Why are we so focused on this sustainable development? Because, as I have mentioned before, resources are finite. They could run out at any time. So we have to make sure we have enough for now. Also, we leave enough for the future. Also, we're facing climate change, which means we are responsible to fix it. Even if we could not fix it, we have to try to at least reduce the causes of climate change. And number three, social equity. And then number four, economic sustainability, economic stability. So these are the reasons why it's so important to maintain sustainable development. So to answer my question, sustainable development in hospitality and tourism is totally possible. But when we say hospitality and tourism, the topic is so wide. So I have chose to narrow it down to hotels so I can focus on a specific topic. So hotels are one of the biggest contributors to climate change. But how? Okay, so the first one is energy consumption. Hotels use a lot of energy for lighting, heating, cooling, and running amenities. In 2015, hotels in the United States spent over $2,000 per available room per year on energy. That is almost twice the average monthly residential electricity bill. The next one is water consumption. Of course, I totally understand that guests will use as much as they want because they pay for it, but it's our job to make sure our guests are happy while we remain sustainable. Waste generation. So in hotels, you can clearly see food waste, plastic waste, and other types of waste, a lot of waste. And transportation, of course, in hospitality and tourism. So, for example, if you want to go on a vacation, you're not going on a vacation in your own country. You have to travel at least to a different state, to a different place to enjoy the vacation. So, transportation is the center of hospitality and tourism, which creates a lot of air pollution. And then embodied carbon. So the carbon emitted during the development and renovation of hotels. Academic estimates that the hotel construction alone can contribute up to 2% of the global emission. So hotel and resorts can contribute to sustainable development by fixing these or at least reducing the contribution to climate change. So how do we do that? Okay, so how can hotels contribute to sustainable development? Okay, let's start with environmental sustainability. So there are four things hotels can do: energy efficiency, water conservation, water waste management, eco-friendly construction. So when we talk about energy efficiency, we can do things like installing energy saving systems, for example, LED lighting, solar panels, and smart thermostats. For example, a Six Senses hotel and resort uses renewable energy and monitors its energy usage to reduce its carbon footprint. That's how we can resolve to energy efficiency and water conservation. So just like I have mentioned before, guests will be guests. They will use whatever they want, how as much as they want because they pay for it and it's fair, but it's our job to maintain sustainability while keeping our guests happy, right? So what do? We implement measures like low flow faucets, water recycling systems, and rainwater harvesting. Resorts like Banyan Tree hotels and resorts use treated wastewater for landscaping. So that is a good example. The third one is waste management. So we can see in a lot of hotels, they just have the trash can or the trash bin. They usually don't require for customers or guests to sort the trash. So, and then they're going to dump those trash in the landfill. So, what can we do? We can adopt comprehensive waste segregation, recycling, and composting systems to minimize landfill contributions. Some resorts have eliminated single-use plastic entirely. And the fourth one is eco-friendly conservation. So when we're building new buildings or when we're trying to open a new hotel, we should, if possible, we should try using sustainable materials like bamboo or recycled steel and designed structure. At least Even if we cannot use those sustainable materials, we should at least try to design the structure to minimize the natural lighting and ventilation. Okay, so that those are the things we can do for hotels to maintain environmental sustainability. And then, okay, now to maintain economic sustainability, there are three main things we can do. Okay, the first one is local sourcing, and then creating green jobs, sustainable tourism packages. Okay, so what is local sourcing? It basically means you partnering up with your local farmers, artisan to supply food, decor, and amenities instead of importing them from foreign countries. Okay, this will not only reduce transportation emissions, but they will also support the local economy. It's a win-win. The next one is creating green jobs. We can create roles such as sustainability officers, energy managers, or ecotourism guides to align business growth with environmental goals. Just like I have mentioned before, if we have someone supervising us, we are more likely to perform better. Okay, then the last one is sustainability tourism packages. We can offer ecotourism activities like natural walks, bird watching tours, or cultural experiences that promote conservation and local heritage. This not only create memorable experience for our guests, but it's also conserving our environment. Okay, so for the third principle of sustainable development, we have the social sustainability. So number one, community engagement and cultural preservation, equitable labor practices. Okay, so for community engagement, support local communities by employment opportunities, training programs, and scholarship for hospitality studies. Engage in community development initiatives such as building schools or health careers. For cultural preservation, we can showcase local arts, music, and cuisine to preserve and promote indigenous tradition. We can also host cultural events and workshops that connect the guests with the local heritage. And then equitable labor practices. We need to ensure that we pay fair wages, there is safe working conditions, and opportunities for professional growth for all employees. That is how we maintain social sustainability. So, last but not least, we have guests in engagement. As we all know, this is like the very basic knowledge. Hospitality and tourism industry rely on guests, rely on customers. So we need to get the guests to engage with our plans. So what can we do? We can organize awareness campaigns. We can educate guests about sustainable practices. We can provide guidelines for respecting local environment and cultures during tours. And then incentive for green choices. We can offer discounts or perks for guests who opt for eco-friendly activities or contribute to conservation funds. So this will not only create a new experience, but it will also help us in trying to sustain the environment. Okay, so here are some examples of successful sustainability in action. So Marriott International. So they have implemented the SURF 360 program, focusing on reducing environmental impact and uplifting communities through initiatives like plastic-free policies and local partnership. And so far, it has been a success. The next one is the Costa Rica's Eco Lodge. Many resorts in Costa Rica promote ecotourism by conserving rainforests and involving guests in reforestation projects. This not only allow our guests to connect with nature, we're also conserving the nature environment. Okay, so the third one is the Norwegian Cruise Line. Even though this is not a hotel, its initiative includes reducing single-use plastics and offering eco-friendly shore excursions. This is a very good example for sustaining the environment while also keeping your customers satisfied. Okay, so when we're trying to implement a new system, of course, there are going to be challenges. If it was easy, everybody would be doing it by now. So the initial cost, so trying to change from what we have to a completely new system is going to cost a lot of money. Trying to sustain the systems like social energy, they would require significant upfront investment. It is hard, but it's not impossible. The second challenge is going to be behavioral change. We're all so used to comfortability and we don't really want to change that, you know? So encouraging staff and guests to adopt sustainable practices can be slow, but it's not entirely impossible. Okay, so the third one is over-tourism management. Popular resorts must balance guest numbers with environmental carrying capacity. So these are the challenges. So, I mean, there could be a lot of other challenges, but these are the main challenges, like the challenges that we can see directly. So if we're able to get over these, I think we will have no problem in sustaining the environment. Okay, so for conclusion, hotels and resorts are uniquely positioned to lead the way in sustainable development by creating eco-friendly experience that benefit the environment, local communities, and their bottom line. By integrating sustainable practices into their operations and involving guests in these efforts, they ensure long-term viability and contribute positively to the planet and society. So that is all for my presentation about sustainable development in hospitality and tourism industry.